You teach me all my life that the white man is the devil.
What the hell is that? Come on,
You teach me my whole life that the white man is the devil. Now you tell me it's all right for him to come among us.
We're the whites. Nobody ever cares if bad things happen to us anymore.
When I die, I'ma go to Snow Bunny Heaven. Snow Bunny Heaven.
Make it stop. Make the hurt stop, please. Like.
What happened to us? When did we get so serious? No one to blame. How do we come free again?
So be.
Quantic, run them bands up. Hey, yo, Quantic, run them bands up.
The pain of shouting tops down how you beside me. The chain you start my heart forgives, the arm is bleeding. I had it done inside my heart. I was still be broken loved.
Hey, yo, Quantic, run them bands up.
Welcome to the show. Thank you all for tuning in. Appreciate each and every one of you. Hit that like button as you make your way into the room. We are going to get started in just a minute. I really do like this track though. This is dope. Like, I kind of want to meet this girl singing this part right here. You know what I mean?
Hey, yo, Quantic, run them bands up.
Half of South Africa's population are 100% dependent on state welfare. The R350 Social Relief of Distress grant has seen the number of welfare recipients skyrocket to half the population of the country. The introduction of the grant at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 increased the number of those getting financial assistance from the government to a whopping 29 million. This number includes 18 million traditional recipients of state welfare, namely old age, child support and disability grants. The R350 grant has added an additional 11 million state-dependent people. This means that almost 30 million of South Africa's 60 million citizens are now welfare recipients. ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa on Friday told residents of Botshabelo in Mongalang the R350 grant was costing the state billions. South Africa was the only country on the African continent dishing out freebies to its citizens at such a rate, he said. Ramaphosa specifically mentioned that as part of this expansive welfare program, the government had built over 4 million houses and was financing the tertiary education of close to 1 million students from indigent homes. We realized that a lot of workplaces had closed due to COVID-19 and we had to increase grants for a short period. We increased the old age and child support grants. Upon further inspection, we realized that a lot of people were not working and we introduced a new R350 grant that now caters for 11 million people, he told residents of L section in the Free State's biggest township. When we add the 18 million that were already receiving monthly grants, the total number increased to 29 million people in South Africa that are receiving monthly grants. 11 million receive R350 while 18 million receive old age and child support grants. We are the only country here in Africa that is giving grants to almost half of its population because here in South Africa there are 60 million people and 29 million are getting money from the state every month. There is no other country in Africa that takes of its people like we do here in South Africa. He said the government was aware the R350 was not enough, but it was going a long way in assisting South Africans. The dependency on state coffers by social welfare recipients may cause more headaches if the ANC resolution at the 55th National Conference is to be implemented. The conference resolved that the governing party was in full support of a permanent basic income grant for the jobless. How much it will be and where the money will come from was left in the hands of the newly elected National Executive Committee, NEC. Social Development Minister and NEC member Linda Zulu said social grants for the unemployed were a good thing for the country and the debate of there being no money to fund it should be secondary. According to Zulu, the economic situation in the country and the standard of living is getting out of control and calls for state intervention to help cushion the effects for the indigent. Zulu said the reality was that besides unemployment, millions did not have education or the skills to become economically active but still have to survive. Social grants are a good thing. This country cannot afford to have hungry people. This country cannot afford to have people not having the basics. This country cannot afford to have people who can't have soap and a face cloth to wash their bodies, toothpaste and toothbrush to brush their teeth, bread on the table. This country cannot afford that. So you cannot afford as a nation to have so many people who are outside of anything. We just can't afford it. Times Live. Support independent journalism by subscribing to the Sunday Times.
Even as an immigrant here, want Haiti to become the majority in this country?
Why are you so worried about the white dispossession of America?
Because I want my people to survive. Is that so strange? We don't control China. We don't control any place where whites are not a majority. And if we become a minority, we will not control our own destiny anymore.
Why would you be concerned of the dispossession? And you are saying what?
Don't we all live in America? Whites, blacks, Asians. Why would you be so concerned that power, you're not going to have it anymore just because of what?
I think we would take away the Trump part. A president is not going to stop the dispossession of white America. But I think the central thing in this argument they had was that the white gentleman is concerned that with the rate of birth, and many people have said this, that there will come a time, if it's not slowed down, there will be the dispossession of white America. And he went on to say, the reason I'm concerned is because then my children would have no legacy and culture left in this country. And I don't see anything wrong at all with what he's saying. So they say when a tree falls into a river, it doesn't become a fish. Now, I'm a naturalized American, but I'm not going to say that I'm an American. I'm American politically, but not culturally. White people, the founding fathers of this country, were of the same uniform background, WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. They have a culture, a religion, a language, a history, and they want to protect it. This is the home of their children. This is what they build for their children. And you came in as a guest. The guest will never take over a house. Never happen. Number two, I really would support the white man, okay, for the dispossession of white, as he's saying, because you see, he's trying to protect you and I. Because if this country falls into the hands, the majority of the wrong people, whatever attracts us to come here will be gone, and we will never be able to come here.
Saying that immigrants wouldn't be able to sustain America or sustain civilization? Is that what you're saying? That we don't have the capacity to do that? Well,
I'm not saying it. I'm only describing it. Have you taken a look at Haiti recently? Would you, even as an immigrant here, want Haiti to become the majority in this country?
I mean,
have you taken a look at some of the African countries, Somalia, Sudan, South Sudan, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and all these countries that are flocking to come to this country? If they could maintain where they are to look like this place, then they wouldn't be flocking here, right? So the point the gentleman is making actually is in my interest, in the interest of people from outside who should still have an America they can come to.
But you're only describing developing countries, right? You talked about Haiti, you talked about Somalia, you're talking about other developing countries.
Well, you can see an undertone what he's saying. He will be
well, he also mentioned Middle Easterns. He also he doesn't like he doesn't appreciate, I guess, Asians, Middle Easterns, blacks, or anybody who's not white. So that you're saying
dispossess his race,
saying that because immigrants are coming into this country, that they wouldn't be able to maintain the white picket fence, the greenery. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, to that, and I don't have to look very far away at all. Have you taken a look at any black neighborhood in America recently, starting with Boston, starting with Detroit?
I understand those are cities that are failing.
Exactly. Now, if imagine,
so putting it on the black people, we're not putting responsibility or accountability on the city or anything like that.
The city is made up of those people. A city is only with people that live in it. A place is only as good as the people who live in it.
Worker.
Yes. With regards to the refugees that are being brought back from South Africa.
Yeah, that's a really exciting news story, isn't it?
The rationale behind it when refugees have not been taken back from other countries, why is the U.S. making refugees from South Africa?
Well, because what's happening in South Africa fits the textbook definition of why the refugee program was created. This is persecution based on a protected characteristic, in this case, race. So this is race-based persecution. The refugee program is not intended as a solution for global poverty. And historically, it has been used that way. Wherever there's global poverty or wherever there's dysfunctional governments, then the U.S. refugee program comes in, swoops people up, relocates them to America, and you have multi-generational problems. Even into the second and third generation, you have endemic poverty, you have crime issues, you have integration issues. The U.S. refugee program in America has been a catastrophic failure. I mean, if you look, for example, at the Twin Cities area, I mean, just in terms of markers of educational outcomes, in terms of public safety, in terms of welfare use. I mean, it's been a complete public policy failure. And so this is an example of the president returning the refugee program to what it was intended to be used as.
What evidence?
Yes, hold on. Yep, over there, thanks.
Evidence do you
Well,
have
so
that
let me just take this one first. Yes.
What specific evidence the United States have that those South Africans have been persecuted?
Well, but it's state policy. There's land expropriation. There's a whole series of government laws and policies that specifically target white farmers and the white population in South Africa. That's well documented on video. And of course, you even see government leaders chanting racial epithets and espousing racial violence. So it's all very well documented. Yes.
On Ukraine.
President Trump and in your administration, what is the status of the litigation on the tariff issues and all the issues?
I don't have an update on that. Sorry. Yes. Yes.
Do you have, of the South African refugees, how many are coming and when will they arrive?
Well, we just have the first flight is scheduled, I believe, for early next week. But that just. Well, I don't have an exact update for you on that yet. I don't want to confirm any news reports, but that's just the beginning of what's going to be a much larger scale relocation effort. And so those numbers are going to increase, obviously, as time goes on. It takes a little while to set up the systems and processes and procedures to begin a new refugee flow, but we expect that the pace will increase. It'll increase at a healthy pace as time goes on. Yes, back there.
How many on the first flight?
Not right now. Yeah, back.
Killed, and we don't want to see people be killed. Now, South Africa leadership is coming to see me, I understand, sometime next week. And, we're supposed to have I guess a G20 meeting there or something, but we're having a G20 meeting. I don't know how we can go unless that situation's taken care of, but it's a genocide that's taking place that you people don't want to write about, but it's a terrible thing that's taking place. And farmers are being killed. They happen to be white, but whether they're white or black makes no difference to me. But white farmers are being brutally killed, and their land is being confiscated in South Africa. And the newspapers and the media, television media, doesn't even talk about it. If it were the other way around, they talk about it. That would be the only story they talk about. And I don't care who they are. I don't care about their race, their color. I don't care about their height, their weight. I don't care about anything. I just know that what's happening is terrible. I have people that live in South Africa. They say it's a terrible situation taking place. So we've essentially extended citizenship to those people and to escape from that violence and come here. Yeah.
Now, the Trump administration is taking a small number of refugees from South Africa, and rather than being congratulated for this act of humanity, the administration is being attacked, surprisingly. Among those enraged is the activist Bishop Marianne Edgar Budd. You might remember her. She's the one who lectured President Trump over his immigration policies on his inauguration day. Well, the Gateway Pundit is reporting her church is ending its nearly 40-year partnership with the US government to resettle refugees because the Trump administration is classifying white South African Afrikaners as refugees that need protection, Alex.
No, they do need protection. I mean, what's happening in South Africa is absolutely horrible. And so just to see these people that are part of a church that are, their whole idea is charity. It's meant to help people. But because these South Africaners happen to be white, it's clear why they don't want to help them. They don't want to help white people. So it's just a form of reverse racism. And a lot of people want to say that systemic racism doesn't exist. But I hate to break it to you, it does exist in America. And in the 60s, it was done against black people. And in this modern day era, it's done against white people. And it sounds crazy, but that's really the world we live in.
Welcome to the show, guys. Hit that like button. Thank you for watching. We are talking about the wrong kind of refugees tonight. Trump is welcoming so far roughly 50 white, specifically white, they did a head count, white South Africans into America as a part of the refugee program. And honestly, it's a great move to reveal the hypocrisy and the true intentions of the global left-wing establishment, and especially in America here, I thought all refugees were welcome. I thought that's what the Democrats believed, right? All refugees were welcome. And now all of a sudden, here I find not all refugees are equal. Some refugees are more refugee than others, apparently.
These are refugees, and because they are white, we have people that are part of a church that are refusing to help them. I mean, it doesn't get more racist than that.
And there is just so much evidence of the way they are persecuted and targeted and why they're in danger in modern day South Africa. This is not some conspiracy theory. That's something that has been reported on widely. We've talked about it on this program a number of times. Now, this is a little more trivial than all that, and I can't get enough of it. This Bill Belichick, Jordan Hudson story, Alex, I'm among
what is happening in Donald Trump talking about what's happening in South Africa, saying that there's a genocide of white South Africans. Here it is.
Discrimination in their home country are heading to the United States, where your administration is going to welcome them as refugees. Now, this comes as you've halted virtually all refugee admissions for people fleeing famine and war from countries like Sudan, the Democratic Republic of Congo. Why are you creating an expedited path into the country for hunters but not others?
Because they're being killed, and we don't want to see people be killed. Now, South Africa leadership is coming to see me, I understand, sometime next week. And, we're supposed to have I guess a G20 meeting there or something, but we're having a G20 meeting. I don't know how we can go unless that situation's taken care of, but it's a genocide that's taking place that you people don't want to write about, but it's a terrible thing that's taking place. And farmers are being killed. They happen to be white, but whether they're white or black makes no difference to me, but white farmers are being brutally killed, and their land is being confiscated in South Africa. And the newspapers and the media, television media, doesn't even talk about it. If it were the other way around, they talk about it. That would be the only story they talk about. And I don't care who they are. I don't care about their race, their color. I don't care about their height, their weight. I don't care about anything. I just know that what's happening is terrible.
Okay, let me tell you this. Donald Trump is ignorant. Donald Trump doesn't know what's going on. Either his people are lying to him, or he does not have enough sense to read.
Why is it nobody wants to believe bad things are happening in South Africa? That's what's really brilliant about this move with Donald Trump, and he's revealing not only the political hypocrisy, but also the media hypocrisy of it all. Is it impossible that bad things could happen to white people? Are white people just impervious to all bad things? Are they really that superior? Is that what white supremacy means? They never have a bad day?
We're the whites. Nobody ever cares if bad things happen to us anymore.
On his own. And it could be all of the above. He is either being sold a story and told a story by some really ignorant and racist people in his administration, or that he's close to, or he is just lying, and not or, and. It can be and or. And this is some really racist shit. All right? Let's put up the Associated Press, because there's some truth to that. There is no genocide of South Africans. And when here's the thing that galls me, okay, is that people don't like to throw around, they say, you cannot throw around that word genocide. It's not a genocide. You can't say this. It's not a genocide. There's not a...
Well, stop saying the word then. I don't think Trump said it. Trump just said, stop doing what y'all doing. Like, y'all going a little too hand. I don't even think Trump used the word. Did Trump use the word? I don't think Trump used the word. You guys keep using the word. You said that's not what's happening. Fine. fine. If you guys say that that's not the word, let's stop saying the word, all right? I'm just saying bad things are happening. You call it whatever you want to call it. I just don't think there are good things happening.
Not enough people dying. It's only but they will freely say it as it relates to South Africa. Now, I'm not saying that there should be using the word at all, but if you're going to use that word, then you should have the same standard for South Africa as you have for Israel and Gaza. If you're going to throw around the G word.
You want to bring them into it. Nah. Let's just deal with one thing at a time. Everybody wants to grandstand in one way or another, left or right. Everybody wants to grandstand on the desert thing. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
Because you freely want to throw it around when you want people to believe that it is happening in South Africa to white people, but you don't want to say it when folks say it's happening in Gaza to brown people.
I didn't say the word. You keep saying the word.
Hey, Andy, is this microphone on?
It's on.
Okay, just want to check. Did you guys hear what I said? Did anybody hear what I said? Now, you know who else? Before I get to this, you know who else said that to me? And I keep telling, more than a year ago. That's also one of my pet peeves when people say over and more than, you get it wrong. Yeah. Anyways, more than a year ago, over a year ago, however you want to say, I sat down with Elon Musk and
Ivan, what's going on? Welcome to the show, Ivan. Ivan has an interesting question. Why does the guy with glasses sound so G-I-E? I'm not sure if that is like a Slavic curse you just had me pronounce, but I'll help you out there, Ivan.
That nigga gay, nigga gay, nigga gay, nigga gay, nigga gay, nigga gay.
It was very interesting to me because he asked me something. He said, do you care about, and I said, I care about suffering of all people. But because I wanted to allow him to continue on to say what he was going to say. But this is what he said to me when I talked about what was happening with racism and I think immigration in this country. I forget the full context. And then he said this to me, and quite frankly, I sort of gasped inside. And my producers who were there with me were like, wait, what did he say? Like, that was the first thing they said after the interview. Did he say that there was a white genocide in South Africa? Watch.
South Africa, I mean, look at what happened with apartheid. It seems to me that you should be someone who is more understanding of that, considering where you came from, considering your history.
You know, I'm not going to use the G word. I'm not going to do it because, you know, apparently it's like against the rules or whatever. You know, Don can use it because he's above the law. You know, he's got the pass or whatever. He's in the G-Wagon. But what happened to all the other white people that lived in Africa? Because, you know, once upon a time, there were probably maybe, I don't know, millions, hundreds of thousands at least, enough to fight a bunch of wars. There were a bunch of white folk all throughout Africa, you know, Kenya, Nigeria, I want to say Ghana, like a lot of colonial places, you know. And that's just the British colonies, you know. They were the French. I think the Dutch had that one spot, you know, King Leopold. They hate him. They really, really hate him. There were a lot of people that used to live in Africa at one point in time. Did they all just like grow old and fade away? They didn't have no babies or nothing?
Yeah. There's a slow white genocide going on in South Africa. Do you care about that?
Look, y'all.
What the hell is so funny, Mr. Don Lemon? Mr. Husband is a white man.
We're the whites. Nobody ever cares if bad things happen to us anymore.
What you laughing about, bud?
Let me tell you guys, I wasn't just born yesterday. I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this for a long time. And I love you guys, all of you folks who are out there, all of you lemon heads, all of you part of the Lemon Nation, people who stopped me in the airport.
Which one of you nibbers is a lemon head, a part of the Lemon Nation? Which one of you nibbers? It better not be none of you nibbers in this chat that's a lemon head, part of the Lemon Nation. You're going to get eliminated out this chat. No lemon heads from the Lemon Nation allowed here.
What happened to your sheriff? There's powerful niggardry at work here.
And you tell me that you're lemon head, and then you say to me, old people be knowing. So I am not ashamed to admit that I'm old. I'm an older person, and I be knowing. And so when I asked that, when he said that, I was like, oh, wow.
Don Lemon said he be knowing. He be knowing things. He has advanced gay wisdom. He has an orb up his ass.
And no one even thought about it for a year until this administration now that Elon Musk has been involved with, Doge, is now talking about a white genocide in South Africa. And producers, I have someone dialing in who we can put on to talk about this. John, we're talking about the white Afrikaners who were allowed into the country and what that means for the black folks and the black farmers. What's going to end up in the black farm?
Who this nibber John? Hold up. Who this nibber John is? Where you get John from? You know, because anytime Don Lemon just happens to be friends with a black cowboy dude, I have questions. I do. I have questions. All right. I have harmless questions. You know, who this nibber John? Is he really a cowboy? Is he really a cow nibber? Who is this nigga John? I want to know. Because I know a John. I do know a John. That's not the John I know. Who is this nibber John? Where did this nibber John come from? Interesting. Anyway.
Farmers who've lost so much land over the decades here in the United States because of the racist policies. What does this do? What does this mean? When you see this, what do you think?
Well, Don, this is a slap in the face to America's black farmers right now. Here you have the President of the United States flying.
Well, what this got to do with black farmers? What this got to do with black farmers? Why you got to bring the blacks into this? They running from the blacks. Don't be the blacks over here about to be problems. Why you got to make the blacks a thing? What this got to do with the blacks over here?
In white farmers from Africa by charter plane. Now who's paying for that, Don? This administration always talks about conserving dollars and all these things. Bringing in white farmers to the United States, giving them a path to citizenship. And they're making people of color in this country, immigrants, leave here by the boatload, Don. And you bring.
Don't worry, the South Africans, when they get here, they're going to identify as black. It's going to be fine. They're going to identify as black Africans. They're going to check the black box on all the paperwork, get all the benefits. You're going to see black South Africans at your HBCUs. They're going to be white, but they're going to get in on the minority pass or whatever. But you're going to see South Africans in your HBCUs. Watch. They're going to come in. They're going to identify as black. Watch. Don't hate. I feel a lot of haters in the chat. I'm feeling a lot of haters in the chat. It better not be no lemon heads from the elimination in here. I'm feeling a lot of haters in the chat, by the way. The South Africans can't go to a HBCU. That's crazy, bro. That's wild. You need to think about that.
Bringing white farmers in. This administration has said time and time again, they don't want nothing to do with DEI or anything by race. And here it is, solely by race, Don, that they're bringing white farmers to the United States and giving them path to citizenship. And we can't get our land out of federal inventory. As you know, you've interviewed me many times about the land and inventory that lie dormant that came from black farmers.
Bro, this is not a land issue. This is an immigration issue. You got beef with a whole complete different department, bro. Like, you need to get your agencies together. I don't know why you beefing. You need to beef with what's the land agency? That's just BLM. It's the Bureau of Land Management. That's who you got a problem with. This is an immigration thing, bro. You need to go beef with BLM.
They're bringing them here, and they're going to provide them, Don, with the homestead, from what I'm being told, resources to farm, and they're asking other community-based groups to support the initiatives of white farmers. And here I am. I've been farming in this country, fourth-generation farmer, for 42 years. I'm on my farm right now, Don. I do not have a farm operating loan.
I bet you. I tell you what. Tell the government you're going to hire some white South African farm workers, and I bet you get a government grant. See, he not thinking about the money. I'm looking at, listen, send me a couple of them white South African workers. Send me some of those desperate white people. I will hire some desperate white people. Yeah, you come farm for me, nigga. He tripping. He don't know how to get this money. He just he's blinded by the white. He not trying to get to the bag. Me, I'm gonna be scouring the grant applications. Like, how do I get access to desperate white people? All right. I know the government will pay me money for being a friend to these desperate white people here. I just know there's a program. There's a program for damn near everything.
Right now, as I speak to you, I've been turned down by 3 lending institutions in the United States that have not granted me access to credit because of his tariffs, the president's tariffs that made crop prices low. Corn, wheat, and soybeans, the very commodities that I raise, and beef cattle that I have right out here in my pasture out here, are all regulated by the markets. This president is running black farmers out of business right now by not granting them.
Why is this about black farmers? Nobody said you bringing South African farmers over here, by the way. Like, it's literally men, women, and children, right? It's not like the Democrat hordes where it's mostly men and like the little children abductees they got with them. These are actual families, right? They come with suitcases. Nobody brought their tractor with them. They didn't bring their John Deere equipment with them. You know what I mean? Like, nobody said that they were coming over here to farm. These are just white people. Why do you assume they're farmers anyway? Do you just think about white people and bam, he must be a farmer? Like, why are you assuming that they even know anything about farming? What if they're all like middle-class tech people? You don't know this. You don't know nothing. You just butthurt on your potato farm. Chill, bro.
Access to credit. They're closing up USDA offices. The Office of Civil Rights is in total disarray. This administration is America's worst nightmare for black farmers and black people in this country.
And they're bringing him here on a lie because of the Expropriation Act in South Africa. They're saying that they're trying to level the playing field, right? The Expropriation Act. But what they're saying, they're claiming that white farmers, there's a white genocide among white people and white farmers in South Africa. And the numbers and the information, just the facts don't bear it out. What do you talk to me about that? And what do you suspect is behind this? And who do you think he's getting this information from? Because clearly,
yes. Tell us, John, the black farmer, and all of your infinite black farmer wisdom, everything you know about South Africa. Yeah, yes, John, regale me with all of your black farmer South African knowledge.
I want to clear something up. they keep talking about reverse discrimination that these white farmers from South Africa has faced. It's not true. Don, they own 90% of the land is owned by white farmers. It's not owned by black people in South Africa, people. And they keep talking about it's reverse discrimination. It is not reverse discrimination. In fact, I'm going to say this, and I may get in a little trouble. Everywhere that the white man is winning this in the world, they managed to steal all of the land. They stole the land in Africa, they stole all the land in the United States. And there is a historical pattern that what they...
Why did the black South Africans let white South Africans steal South Africa from them? You just built South Africa and you just let the white man take it? That's crazy. I got to read that story. I wonder if there's a documentary about how the white man stole South Africa from the blacks. Like, it just rolled up on this like modern black Wakanda at the southern tip of Africa, and it was like, this is mine now. Like, I drink your milkshake.
They're doing now. They don't want us out. They don't want me out here farming, Don. You know, that's why I can't. It seems to have a difficult time getting a loan from my own federal government and the banking system that I live in. This is by design, and it was crafted on behalf of Elon Musk and Stephen Miller are the two hands that crafted and put this mess together, this whole fiasco. And we spoke about this about a month or so ago, Don, about what they were trying to do. And now you're saying that they're courting other states to help them in this. In this case,
so Don Lemon just like occasionally chops it up with black farmers. I didn't know that about Don. That's interesting. Don has a farmer friend, huh?
The governor of Virginia, who helped bring him into Dulles Airport by a private charter, people. Somebody paid for this. And they're asking other civic groups to get involved and support this initiative. When have you heard this president ask for other organizations to help black farmers who can't get loans in this country?
Pastor, the term Boer is not a reference to a wild pig. I know phonetically it does kind of, they are similar terms, but that is not the true etymological history of the term Boer. I don't really care to tell you how it started because I don't really know how it started, but I know it's not about pigs, bro.
Let me make one final plea, Mr. President. Millions have put their trust in you. And as you told the nation yesterday, you have felt the providential hand of a loving God. In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives. And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meat packing plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation. But the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors. They are faithful members of our churches and mosques, synagogues, wadara, and temples. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away, and that you help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution in their own lands to find compassion and welcome here. Our God teaches us that we are to be merciful to the stranger, for we were all once strangers in this land.
That's crazy how she would just totally contradict her entire sermon like that. Like she would just totally contradict an entire sermon. And you know, this isn't just like your regular Sunday, I'm gonna get behind the pulpit for 45 minutes. Like, no, the president was here today. You had to really think about what I'm going to talk about because the president's here. You're like, yeah, Mr. President, I need you to care about the stranger, the immigrant, the person fleeing danger from a foreign land. And then Trump's like, what about these guys? He's like, no, screw those guys. You send them home. I don't want them here. Not in my backyard. Forget all that stuff I just said. Let me take this damn flock off. And I don't know what I'm wearing this robe for.
May God grant us the strength and courage to honor the dignity of every human being, to speak the truth to one another in love, and walk humbly with each other and our God for the good of all people in this nation and the world. Amen.
Pastor says she did not use one scripture. It's nice that you notice, Pastor, but that's your team, bro. That is your extra biblical team right there.
To the 50 Afrikaners who fled to the US, calling themselves refugees. You are not refugees. You are just a case study of white flight dressed up as martyrdom. You're not escaping violence. You're escaping equality. South Africa didn't chase you away. You ran. Yes, South Africa is one of the most violent countries in the world. Yes, brutality exists. But let's be honest, violence affects all communities, not just white farmers. Black, colored, Indian, and yes, white people are all targets of a national crime crisis. What we have is a breakdown in safety, not a white genocide. This is not ethnic cleansing, it's criminal collapse, and running to the US won't fix it. You are part of a 7% minority, but somehow still manages to control over 70% of the wealth. That is not persecution, that's privilege on a guilt trip. And let's be real, if we tried to relocate just half of the Afrikaans population, it would take decades, billions in logistics, and you'd still end up culturally homeless in a country that don't want your apartheid baggage. You're not brave, you're not victims. You're scared of a world where you don't get to be in charge, and that makes the rest of the Afrikaans community cringe because you make us look weak. South Africa is broken, and it's our problem to solve. So if you don't have the spine to do so, stay gone.
Woke is like a global disease at this point. It's not just America. It's not just Canada. Canada's bad. It's not just the UK. It's pretty much everywhere white people live. Woke lives. It's like woke is really a white thing.
I'm just really upset about something, and I want to delve into it real quick. Again, I know this isn't sports. I know some of you come here for sports. I respect that. But earlier today, a group of 50 white South Africans landed at Dulles International Airport as refugees. And they were welcomed into the United States under a humanitarian designation meant for those men and women fleeing war or persecution. And Trump has suspended this for all other groups everywhere in the world. And almost all of those other groups, or a huge majority, are people of color. And Donald Trump has allowed these 50 white South Africans into the United States because he says that there's a genocide in South Africa. And that is just actually not true. Trump said farmers are being killed. They happen to be white, but whether they're white or black, it makes no difference to me. And at the same time, you're watching people all over this country being round up. People almost exclusively who are of color being rounded up by ICE, taken into facilities, exported. But
they got to go back, bud. They got to go. Don't worry. We'll replace them with desperate white farm workers. See how that works. Like it used to be.
White people are being brought in from South Africa under the false pretense of they're facing this life or death discrimination. It is so fucked up. Like, it is so fucked up. If you don't think these people are racist, please understand this. No brown people are allowed in this country. We are not taking any refugees who happen to be brown.
How do you know they're racist just because they're white? Isn't that a racism in and of itself, right? How do we know they're racist? Like, you just look at them, be like, they're white. They look racist to me. And especially for a white guy to say that too, that's wild.
But these 50 white people from South Africa can come in. These 50 white people with their families and their history of apartheid can come in. We need to help the white people of South Africa.
What history? You don't even know what their history is. Maybe they've been poor for the last 40 years. You don't know what these people history are. What do you think? Each and every one of these 50 people are the architects of apartheid? Like they were all working at the prison? What are you even talking about?
Africa, and we are allowing them into America. Think how fucking deranged that is. I'm being serious. Even if you're a Republican, even if you're pro low taxes, think how fucking deranged that is. That there are people in the Trump administration believe that the optics and the politics of this, what we need to do are save the white South Africans. And if you're like, this is great, this is so awesome, blah, 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 like something is wrong with you. Like something is actually wrong with you. This is the most racist, sinister shit I've seen done in the open by a politician in years.
50 white people. It's just 50. I don't even know if that's like a full charter bus, bro. You can fit more than 50 people on a charter bus, right?
There's been racist, sinister shit done by both parties through the years. This is just, look, we're racist. Look, we're going to let the white people in, but no brown people in. But the white people, come on in. We want to save you. That's what this is.
What's wrong with saving the white guys? White people don't need saving every now and then. I distinctly remember watching a famous movie called Titanic, where there was a lot of white people that needed saving. White people don't need saving every now and then. That's crazy.
We're the whites. Nobody ever cares if bad things happen to us anymore.
This video is for the white Afrikaners who are coming to the United States. I think you've already landed here. And I know that some of the folks who met you at the airport told you, welcome, we're so glad you're here. Most of us aren't glad you're here, okay? We don't want you here. We never wanted you here. And furthermore, I noticed they're gonna settle you in Idaho, Ohio, and North Carolina. I will tell you, they're not our finest states. So they're a good fit for you. I understand that many of you are farmers, and I've seen a lot of people say, oh, that's great, we need more farmers. Sorry to say, we don't. We actually need farm workers because we've deported most of them. So if you can, put your picking hat on and think about, picking produce, that's largely probably what you're going to be doing here, because I hear you don't have a lot of skills. I would also say that you're not going to have to hold just one job, but probably 2 or 3 to make up for your quality of life that you had back in South Africa. There will be no servants working for $2 a day. There's none of that here. So you're the servant who's working for $2 a day. So enjoy that. You're gonna have to pay for your health care, and ordinarily, because you're a refugee who's being discriminated against, you would go on Medicaid. But guess what? The Republicans just cut Medicaid. So I don't think you're going to have that option for healthcare. So maybe you'll do without. I don't know. And honestly, I don't care. I did notice that the Episcopalian Church had a program with the government where they would, excuse me, they would resettle and help, refugees resettle. They find you all to be so onerous, they terminated the partnership with the government. And they said, yeah, we won't be resettling those folks. Other things that you need to know about. While we are 58% white here in the United States.
It's wild. It feels like Germany post-war vibes, right? Like this is how, and not even really, because if you know about Germany right after the war, they got it bad. Like they got it up one end and up the other. They got it bad. And it kind of feels like Germany post-war vibes right now. Like, we didn't even fight a war against South Africa. We got no beef with them. Why are you still some type of way like this right now?
States, that's not going to last much longer. Within the next couple of years, we're going to be the minority, which will be fun for you because that's what you're used to. Interestingly enough, we have a ton of Latinos. We're the second largest Spanish-speaking country in the world. So for you, if you could stop speaking that dirty, guttural, whatever it is, German, French, Dutch thing that you speak, that Afrikaans, nobody wants to hear that shit. So you can speak English or you can speak Spanish, which is really the second language here. In terms of other things that you need to know about, the Black people in this country, they don't.
Oh, please. No. Tell us about the Black people in this country.
Things that you need to know about. The Black people in this country, they don't get fucked with, okay? I know that there's a long legacy of colonialism and all kinds of stuff happening in your country, but our Black folks.
Do you think that white folk are messing with the Black people in South Africa right now? Do you think apartheid is still happening? Like, what do you even worry? I don't understand what people are talking about anymore. I swear, I feel like I just got here.
Folks have sort of been through the fire, if you will, and they're not going to be fucked with. So you're the minority here. Enjoy. I really hope you like your time here. I'm going to bet my ass that you're going to be booking it back to SA probably within the next 12 months. Have a great day.
My name is Bianca van Wyk. This is for the Americans. If you're not an American, feel free to watch, but please try and get it to the Americans. My name is Bianca van Wyk, born in South Africa, live in South Africa. Today, you will be welcoming the so-called white Afrikaans refugees. They are there based on an offer made to them, which I must say was informed by disinformation about South Africa. Now, I've seen a lot of takes on who Americans think they are receiving. Okay, you are not getting successful, professional, white, middle-class South Africans that are fleeing South Africa. The people you are getting are the people that believe that there is discrimination against them based on their race. Keep in mind, we live in the most unequal country in the world. We have, for instance,
I wonder by South African standards how wealthy this woman is. Because I imagine it's not any of the wealthy South Africans that are a part of the refugee program. It would be like the bottom of the economic pyramid. She's basically the South African version of an awful, affluent, white, female liberal.
70% of agricultural land and agricultural holdings are owned by white South Africans.
And a shout out to Big Time with the $5 super chat. He says, this liberal woman deserves the 9th circle of hell right next to Judas. Matter of fact, Judas can take a break. She can get the whole circle, bro.
I need that money.
Shout out to Big Time. Thanks for supporting the show. Hit that like button, guys. Shout out to the new members.
62 to 68% of top leadership positions in corporate are filled by white males. There is a huge salary disparity between white South Africans and the rest of the population. And there are a number of other indicators which shows you that this story of discrimination based on race is false. Another thing that I wanted to say is that you will get certain so-called refugees that have experienced crime. However, in South Africa, no one is exempt. These people that you are welcoming assume because they're white, they should not experience crime. The people most affected by crime in South Africa happen to be Black people that live in poverty. So as you open your doors and welcome people, and you're going to get a lot of information and disinformation from these people, Please do keep that in mind. Oh, I also would like to say all the best and good luck to the Americans.
I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I'm saying to you, we've not called for the killing of white people, at least for now. I can't guarantee the future.
Yeah, but I mean, you'd understand somebody watching that, especially as it gets shared on Twitter, they freak out. It sounds like a genocidal call.
Cry babies. Cry babies.
I'm not calling for the slaughter of white people, at least.
Crybaby, that's wild. That's wild. It's hard to imagine living in a place like that because we're Americans. You know, we have guns, freedoms. Some of us are just kind of crazy. We couldn't imagine somebody dare telling us anything like this, you know?
Just for now.
I can't give you a guarantee of the future, especially when things are going the way they are.
Subtext.
Especially if things are going the way they are, there will be a revolution in this country, I can tell you now. I don't know.
The White House says white South Africans are under a, quote, government-sponsored race-based discrimination over a law it claims allows racially motivated seizures of land. But South African leaders strongly denied the allegations. The South African government says Afrikaners, who are descendants of Dutch settlers, benefit the most economically. While they make up only 7% of the population, they also occupy most of the farmland. The new law in question gives the South African government permission to take land without compensation in certain cases to address disparities to Black South Africans as a result of the apartheid era. Again, we are supposed to hear from the White House.
You may not like what I'm saying, but the fact that Trump are allowing white South Africans to come to the U.S. does not bother me. It does not bother me at all. What bothers me is when foreigners of color who looks like me comes to the U.S. and says that they don't like Black Americans. That's what I have an issue with.
All right, this Black woman has her priorities kind of lined up. I like where she's going with this. She's aiming for an appropriate target here. It's like, I ain't even tripping about them. I don't like you niggas. All right, she's on something else. She's on something else. I'm not even mad at her. I'm not even mad at her. She got her priorities together.
I'm telling you, man. This the reason why I be hating niggas, man. I'm telling you, man. It just be us. I be hating niggas, man.
So at least we know what we're getting from individuals who does not look like us. And 9 times out of 10, they may treat us better than the foreigners of color who looks like us, disrespecting us, saying we're lazy, and which is a lie. Because the same tax dollars that we work hard to be taken out of our checks and out of our pay and paying business taxes and things of that nature, those are the same tax dollars that are helping these individuals who are coming over here.
She says she's tired of the Black immigrants. Let's give the white immigrants a shot for a little while. Shout out to Big Time with the $5 super chat. South Africa is the country that shut down their nuclear program before the Blacks took it over. That is true. That is actually true. And it is for the best, because it's not that I think the South Africans can't manage it. I mean, they can, but that's not the problem. You know, they would just sell that stuff to like Saddam Hussein or somebody, to the Ayatollah or something like that. Could you imagine? Be like, nigga, selling a gun he stole from some house he broke into, right? We don't need that with nukes. Shout out to Big Time. Thank you for the support. And Joey Montana with the $1.99 super chat. He says, real nickel reparations. Shout out to Joey. Shout out to Big Time. Be like Joey and Big Time, y'all. Smash that super chat button for me, y'all.
Hulk! Smash! Smash you! Yeah! To make Hulk angry. You not like Hulk angry. Hulk no like fighting girls.
So with that being said, I don't have a problem. Let's go Trump. USA. USA. I voted for him. So I don't have a problem. You may not like what I'm saying, but
program, 59 refugees isn't even close to 0.5% of that figure. It is an astronomically small number of people in context. Under the Biden administration, 4 times that number of refugees enter the United States every single day from places like Africa and Central America and the Middle East. Even if the media wanted to cover every batch of new arrivals, they simply could not do it. They were arriving too quickly and from too many countries in too great a number. So instead, they'll just tell us that all refugees are good and that we must accept them without any questions because, a crappy poem on the Statue of Liberty says so. And of course, if you compare 59 refugees to all of the unofficial refugees, all of the illegal immigrants who the media treats as refugees and asylum seekers, then 59 represents something like 0.00002% of the total. Not even around.
Compare that 59 people to the amount of people that were just walking across the border every day. Like there were photos with like thousands of people in it, just these giant faceless hordes of people. It was like the Mongols coming to invade America. But 59 white people who ain't got no money, that's where we draw the line.
Rounding error. It's a microscopic number in comparison. But just for the sake of argument, if you had to imagine a hypothetical scenario where 59 refugees somehow did get the media's attention and also triggered a massive outrage cycle in the process, what do you think might be the reason? I mean, what would it take for CNN, MSNBC, all the networks to lose their minds over 59 refugees who are resettled into this country by the federal government? What kind of heinous terrorist attack would those 59 people have to be plotting? What Chinese-developed bat virus would they have to be carrying? How many Kanye West lyrics would they have to sing on the plane in order to make the national news media, for the first time in recorded history, demand that a plane full of refugees be turned around and sent back to where it came from? Well, yesterday we learned the answer to that question, and it turns out that if you want the media to adopt a hardline anti-refugee stance, the refugees don't actually have to do anything. They don't have to say a word, even a nod.
They just have to be white. That's crazy. That's how we get the left to be anti-immigrant. Just make the immigrants white, and then magically the left is anti-immigrant. They will build a wall. Oprah will donate $1 billion to build a wall if we start making all the immigrants white. Watch you. We're going to get a wall on the southern border, and we're going to get a wall around the whole eastern seaboard. We're going to get a wall. It's going to be like Atlantis or something. We're going to get a whole giant wall.
Naughty word. Instead, the refugees just have to commit the unforgivable cardinal sin of being white. Yes, if the federal government takes a break from importing hordes of ungrateful Somalis and Haitians and Venezuelans, if only for a second, and decides instead to rescue 59 well-mannered white people, then all hell will break loose. And we know that because of the response to this scene from Dulles Airport the other day.
Now, it remains to be seen how well-mannered these white people are. I'm not willing to give them credibility or slander really at this point. They're just white people. I know nothing. Maybe they're good. Maybe they're all autistic, mathematical savants. Maybe they're meth heads. I don't know. It's like Jack in the Box. It's like, I want to be surprised. I really do. I want to be surprised.
Where 59 Afrikaners were greeted by senior Trump administration officials and formally accepted in this country as refugees. Watch.
Welcome. Welcome to the United States of America. It is such an honor for us to receive you here today. This is the land of the free, and we know that all of you have faced. I'm Chris Landau. First of all, let me introduce myself. I'm the Deputy Secretary of State of the United States. This is my friend Troy Edgar.
Yeah, I'm the Deputy Secretary of Homeland Security. Again, welcome. So great to have you guys here.
I know you've gone through a long flight. I cannot believe there are babies and children who are actually so well behaved. This is much better than mine are. So bless you for that.
Oh, look at those well-behaved white babies. God, that's the last thing America needs more of is well-behaved white babies. That is how you ruin a country, I tell you. Well-behaved white babies, next thing you know, it's like cyberpunk.
Now, before we get into the specifics of why these particular white people are fleeing South Africa and why the left is so enraged by them, just look at these people. They're waving American flags. They're holding their children. They're well-behaved children. They're speaking English. They're coming over as intact family units. They're respectful as they're spoken to. They're not complaining. They're not demanding better accommodations or better food like so many foreign nationals who come to this country. They're acting like responsible, well-adjusted, productive people.
All right, it's still the first day, Matt. We don't know anything yet. But are we going to put them up in like the Marriott? Because that's what I heard we did with the last batch of migrants. We put them up in the Marriott, had them on like this meal plan or whatever, gave them like thousands of dollars and food stamps and money and stuff like that.
And under the circumstances, this is no small feat. These people have been subjected to decades of persecution in their native land of South Africa, solely based on their skin color. And make no mistake, I say the word native, and I mean it. South Africa is indeed their native land, at least if that term has any meaning at all. Afrikaners, like, the ones who just arrived at Dulles.
David asked, would you kiss the lady on the left? Dave, I don't think you noticed, but the lady on the left was the big-time fentanyl plug. So you would kiss her if she told you to, David. You just be glad she ain't want no smooches from you. Because if she told you to kiss her, you would kiss her. You would give her tongue all the way to that dangly thing in the back of her throat.
Are descendants of Dutch settlers who first arrived in South Africa in the 17th century. Okay, that's a very long time ago. So these people can trace their roots in South Africa back 400 years, which is something like 15 or 20 generations. If you cannot be considered native to a land after 15 generations, then the word native, again, has no meaning. But now the white descendants of these Dutch settlers are being persecuted by black Africans, most of whom are...
You ever notice white people are the only people who are not indigenous to anywhere? Like, the entire concept of indigenous doesn't actually apply to white people. Think about that for a minute. I want you to let that set in, like, the implications of such a reality. White people are indigenous to nowhere. Not even Europe, technically. White people are not considered indigenous to Europe. It's like they just floated from the heavens. Like, where did you come from? Like, white people are the only people by category. It is categorically impossible for white people to be indigenous. Yeah, look it up. I promise.
Descendants of the Bantu. And the theory is that these white people deserve to be persecuted because they're colonizers. But the funny thing about the Bantu is that they themselves displaced and conquered the people known as the Khoisan, who were living in South.
Yes. The Midwest Request. Shout out to the Midwest Request with the $2 super chat. He says, not 400 years of white South Africans. I don't know if it's, maybe 400. Yeah. I mean, that's what Matt said. But when you think about it, I mean, the white man had boats, bro. He was just going around just doing shit, bro. What they call the age of exploration, it really was just white guys on boats just going around just doing stuff, bro. Like, I can believe it. 400 years? Yeah, why not?
South Africa first. So in other words, if the white South Africans are colonizers, then so are the black South Africans who are now persecuting them. Now, we've talked before about how exactly these white South Africans are being treated and persecuted. By some estimates, one white farmer is killed every 5 days in South Africa.
It is what it is. White people come from the ice wall. That's really why we can't go back beyond the ice wall. You might be right. I don't know. I'm not really into the flat Earth, ice wall theory stuff, but I'm not an expert on anything. I claim to know a little bit about a lot of things, but I don't know everything. Maybe that's where they come from. Agartha, the ice wall. Who knows, bro? Could be anywhere. Maybe they come from a planet by Sirius B. I don't know, bro. White folk, where do you come from?
Africa. And some of these executions are brutal. Quoting from Newsweek, quote, Gabriel Stolz, 35, said that his younger brother Kyle, 21, was shot dead by 4 people on a game reserve. What is happening to us is torture. It is slaughter. It is brutal. It is revenge. The world doesn't know what is happening in South Africa, he said. Meanwhile, a 56-year-old woman from Pretoria said that 3 armed men broke into her family's house, stole money, and raped her, close quote. Now, in response to these reports of rampant farm invasions and sexual assaults, the government of South Africa has repeatedly claimed that overall, these statistics show that it's safe for white people in the country. And activists on the left have mostly repeated that same line. They've accused Afrikaners of basically inventing all the homicides and torture that they're being subjected to. The problem with that argument is that even if you pretend for a moment that it's true, it wouldn't change the fact that Afrikaners are clearly being subjected to overt persecution on the basis of their race. And we know that's true because the government of South Africa just enacted a law that permits the government to seize land from white farmers without compensating them for it. That is the...
Yeah, we call that freedom. As a white man, I think you would understand what freedom is, okay? We call that freedom. When you give me all of your stuff, when you, white man, give me, black man, all of your stuff, freedom, nigga, that's what that is. I don't know why you can't understand. You would think white people understand freedom. Jeez.
The express purpose of the law to steal land from white people and give it to black people. And predictably, in South Africa, white people, think that that is evil because it is. And
yo, shout out to Big Time again with the $5 super chat. He says the camps that help you concentrate were created against the Dutch during the British Boer Wars by the British, not millions, but thousands unalived. You know, it's funny. I was kind of like prepping for the show a little bit, and I watched a short documentary about the Boer War. And apparently there were several of them. The Boers just didn't quit. Tenacious little pricks. But it was rough. They call it the first modern war. You know what's interesting about the Boer War? So the Boers are fighting. I didn't really catch how this went down because, the Dutch are the pioneers, the settlers or whatever who first went down there. But at a certain point, they wound up under the British Empire, right? And so now you got the British down there, the redcoats. They're literally fighting redcoats. It felt weirdly like vaguely American-esque. But you got the Boers down there fighting redcoats, and at that point, the Queen had during her reign, I think what I heard him say in the documentary, she had engaged in like 20 some odd military conflicts during her reign at that point, up to that point, and she won every one of them. Like the empire was empiring strong, right? But here's the thing. The empire was largely a third world empire, right? So most of their empiring was backwater, uncivilized, less disciplined people who are in particular less well organized and less well supplied, right? So not only do they not fight like the Brits, they don't have the guns anyway. And all that fell apart when they ran into the Boers in the African mountains. It was white on white conflict. The Brits weren't really used to that. Up against a well-armed, fully trained, dug-in, motivated enemy. They should have made movies about that war. They really did. It was. I mean, it's crazy to say that, but it really was a great war, all things considered. Shout out to Big Time with the $5 super chat. You got look into the Boer War, man. They don't make movies about stuff like that. There's a reason why, it's politics and whatnot. But yeah, the Boers were an interesting bunch, tenacious little pricks.
I need that money.
Many of the black South Africans support it because they're the ones who are benefiting from it. Watch.
The administration claims
What do you mean, who
Afrikaners are
won?
being discriminated against because
The Redcoats won, bro. The Redcoats won. It's a long story, but yeah, the Redcoats won eventually. It took them a couple of tries, though. It did take them a couple of tries. The Boers were not trying to leave.
because of the race, after South African President Cyril Ramaphosa signed a law this year allowing for private land to be seized by the government without compensation. It's known as expropriation without compensation. The law was drafted and signed as a means of addressing the country's land ownership disparity, where Black South Africans, who make up 80% of the population, own less than 10% of all privately held land. In 2022, I traveled to South Africa to speak with white farmers and Black farmers about what was then the idea of a law that would allow the government to confiscate privately owned land. Here's what they told me during my trip.
I personally support the land expropriation without compensation. But however, my worry is, what do we do with the land we have currently?
I've paid. You're not farming it now? Well, that's weird. Are you even a farmer?
For my land by working very hard for it. So I didn't inherit it. I've started with nothing. But I worked 10 hours a day for many, many years and pay for the land that I currently own.
Okay, so this is actual verifiable persecution. These Afrikaners are not being coached by some left-wing NGO to make up a sob story so that the administration lets them into the country when all they really want is access to the U.S. labor market so they can get a better job, or even worse and more commonly, they want access to the U.S. welfare state.
It should be seen as a good thing. America should take it as a point of pride. Republicans and liberals, right? We have policed the world so effectively that the only true people left being oppressed right now are actual white people. Think about it. Think about what that means in terms of, like, remember back in the 80s, we had the We Are the World campaigns, the genocide in Rwanda, the Hutus and the Tutsis and whatnots. We had the Sandinistas and the guerrillas. Remember FARC? Remember the Colombian guerrillas? There was a lot going on for a while. And you know what? All of that's kind of chill, it seems like. All of that is just low-key. Everybody wants to party and get money right now. The only people around the world the only people left around the world that actually kind of check the boxes on oppression in the modern day are white people. I feel like we should take a bow. I feel like that's progress, right? That is actual progressivism, right? That is progress. Nigga, we made it.
That's normally how asylum claims work. They're pretty much all fraudulent and everyone knows it. But this is a very different situation. The government of South Africa has given itself the authority to seize land without compensation from white people specifically, and then give it to black people. Okay? If that's not persecution, then what is? If the government could come in and say, you're white, we're taking your home from you. And
I know American blacks love the sound of that, by the way. I know you nippers over here just salivating, just melanin and saliva dripping from your teethuses. Ooh, we just gonna make a law to take the houses from the white mans and give them to the blacks. That's all we've ever wanted, boss. That's the reparations. South Africans are getting their reparations from white South Africans, and white South Africans never really had official slavery. It was like unofficial slavery. Wink, wink.
Giving you nothing. Okay, that is persecution on the basis of race, and anyone who claims otherwise is a liar. And meanwhile, chants of kill the Boer, as in kill the white farmer, are being led in massive stadiums by black politicians in South Africa. The purpose of asylum laws and refugee programs is to protect people in precisely this scenario. They're being targeted based on characteristics that they cannot control. But across the corporate press, we're told that these Afrikaners should stay and they should just take it, essentially. They need.
Yes, Afrikaners. Why are you leaving? Were you afraid of a little nib? You afraid of a couple of nibs? It's kind of racist of you to be afraid of a couple of nibs. I don't understand why you Afrikaners are just leaving like that. It's really weird. As soon as the blacks get in charge and everything starts to fall apart, all of a sudden you want to just up and leave. It's kind of crazy, you know what I mean?
And they got this big celebration, and these are the only, white African descendants of apartheid, the European colonials, or those who participated in apartheid. They're of all ages, including children. And they got this big celebration, and these are the only, white African descendants of apartheid, the European colonials.
It's crazy how there's like a weird genetic guilt, because theoretically they are descendants of apartheid.
South Africa says that the allegations about persecution of these people, the allegations are false, according to the South Africans. What?
The South Africans say they didn't do nothing. Of course, the South Africans would say they didn't do nothing.
The South African president says people arriving in the U.S. today do not fit the definition of refugees, and that what Trump has been told about their persecution is false. The South African president says people arriving.
Everybody's lying to Trump. Everybody's lying on South Africa right now.
Who created the most diabolical system. These are the descendants of the people who created the most diabolical system of white supremacy in human history.
Wait a minute. Aren't white Americans the descendants of a diabolical system of oppression too? Kind of makes you wonder, huh? You people are guilty. You didn't do it, but you did it.
They're not directly responsible for it, but it was a system that actually moved Black people off of the arable land. So they inherited the land that the Black people had to give up. It was called forced removal. It was something called a Bantustan policy, where they moved Black people out of the cities and farmlands into these remote areas with non-arable land. I mean, it was just one of the most worst processes ever. But what has happened in this strange, bizarre world we're living in is that the Afrikaners have become the darling of these right-wing white supremacist movements around the world. That it's like the lost cause for them. It's like the old Confederacy. They're held up as these white Christians who are being dispossessed of their land. It's like
Make it stop. Make the hurt stop, please. Like
this is a modern replacement theory in a country where, by the way, white people make up 7% of the population. And
yeah, I was muted. I was saying that the white people are the last oppressed people in the world. Nobody's free until all the white people are free.
Make it stop. Make the hurt stop, please. Like
own 78% of the farmland. So it's actually, there's no injustice here. As you mentioned, it's taking places away from refugees who are really being crushed by authoritarian governments and military governments.
Name the places and tell me how many of those people came over here. Because if it's Latin America, name the places, right? because we are being mostly flooded by Latin America. That's where the majority of our immigrants come from in this country. So which Latin American bad guy do we need to go knock over so the people can stop coming here?
But for these folks who have never had anything happen to them, and Trump amazingly called it a genocide, one of the worst lies I've ever heard him say. There's just been a small handful of farmers that have been killed over the past 10 years.
Oh, just a small handful. It was just a handful. Just a, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just a handful. Let me flip the hand over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. It was like 10 max. 10 max, all right? Come on, it's just a couple of farmers. We could live without a couple of farmers. I mean, Africans are naturally skinny anyway. They didn't need any extra food. It's not like they needed the extra calories anyway. I mean, come on. It was just a couple of farmers. You acting like we're going to miss those guys or something. Jeez. Lose a couple of farmers and everybody gets all uptight all of a sudden. That's crazy. Just calm down. Oh, those are farmers. They're farmers, bro. They grow back. I mean, geez. It's nature, bro. Science, my nigga. Farmers grow back. Don't you know farmers grow back? That's why we bury them. Science, bro. Use your science brain.
Military governments. For these folks who have never had anything happen to them. And Trump amazingly called it a genocide, one of the worst lies I've ever heard him say. There's just been a small handful of farmers that have been killed over the past 10 years. No land has actually been expropriated. So it's just a farce and a sham and a more.
Big time with the $5 super chat. He says the Hats want to save the Bantu in South Africa, but wants to unalive all the children in Gaza. What a demon. Demon time. Shout out to Big Time with the $5 super chat. Like the sponsor of the show tonight.
You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
Hit that like button, guys. Thanks for coming through. Let me see. I think there's a couple more clips in this thread here. Oh, yeah.
We have talked about this instance of white nationalism, which I completely agree. I mean, if Donald Trump just didn't want immigrants.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Who called the white nationalist? Listen, I know a handful of white nationalists, and they're not even sold on the white South Africans. Don't try to tag the white nationalists into this, all right? Because you know how white people are. They look at all other white people kind of iffy anyway. You can't just show up because I'm white, I must be right. Like, white folk don't actually roll like that. Niggas kind of roll like that, sort of, kind of. White folk, nah, don't just tag the white nationalists into this. It's crazy you would do that.
We have talked about this instance of white nationalism, which I completely agree. I mean, if Donald Trump just did.
Right on time. Angry Snowman. They're Africans. They ain't white. You see what I mean? There is nothing more fascinating than white on white racism. I tell you, man, you guys have the most interesting racist history amongst yourselves. The French, the English, 100 years, 100-year war. You understand what a 100-year war can produce in two groups of people? Shout out to Lasers with the $2 super chat. Appreciate you guys for supporting the show, man. Where all the white nationalists at? You guys are being lied on right now.
We have talked about this instance of white nationalism, which I completely agree. I mean, if Donald Trump just didn't want immigrants, you'd have all of the terribleness we have. But it actually turns out he does want some immigrants. He wants the white Christians from South Africa to be immigrants to this country. We have talked about this instance of white nationalism, which I completely agree. I mean, if Donald Trump just didn't want immigrants, you'd have.
It's like a Batman movie or something where all the bad guys get collected under one roof. I mean, like, who else do you now go and find other racists who have repress people and give them refugee status here.
Yeah, yes, Donald Trump is building a team. He is building a team. It's like the Avengers, but for racism, though. He's gonna get some good old boys. He's already got that one Hexef guy. He's got a Crusader. He's got a couple of South African apartheids. Pretty sure he's gonna wind up, he's gonna import a few Russians eventually. Some Orthodox bros. I know he's gonna import some Eastern European Ortho bros. We already got the Japanese thing. Trump's already friends with what was that Japanese prime minister that passed recently? They always make memes about Trump and him together. We already got the samurai thing. You know how the samurai feels. The samurais in the hats, they already got a thing. The samurai hates the Tengu. They have a name for it. I swear to God, look it up. Tengu. It is a word from Japanese culture. It is a demon with a long nose and a little square box that he wears tied to the top of his forehead called the Tengu. I swear to God, it's called the Tengu. The Japanese have a demon in their own ancient, Japanese culture is like old, right? They didn't just get here. There it is. That's exactly what it looks like, Nacho. That's it. And they're the tricksters of Japanese culture. They're called the Tengu. The Tengu. Yeah. The samurai was woke. The samurai were woke right. Yeah. The samurai were the original woke right. They didn't even know it. They were like OGs. They were pioneers. They were revolutionaries with it. But yeah, Trump is building a team. Hell, he's probably going to bring a couple of he's going to round it out with a few Mexicans, just, because he's already, it's 2025. You're going to find a Mexican everywhere now. I'm watching a show about criminals in London. It's a new show about criminals in London. It's got I think that's Pierce Brosnan, Helen Mirren, and what's that other dude? He plays Venom. It's a dope show. But even in this new modern London crime gang, they got the Mexicans there too. Everywhere you go, there's a Mexican. So you got to have a Mexican on the team. Trump is, Mobland. Thank you, Mobland. Their opening song is dope. So I found that opening song. I listen to that every morning now. I want to handle a stone. I want to mess with it. Yo, that song is so lit. I love that song, bro. The shit's funny. Yeah, the NEA class in it.
It's just, I don't know where it goes from here, but I mean, you even said it. It's like a headline from The Onion. I don't even know how to get more extreme than this. It's like a Batman movie or something where all the bad guys get collected under one roof. I mean, like, who else do you now go and find other racists who have repressed people and give them refugee status here? It's just, I don't know where it goes from here, but I mean, you even said it. It's like a headline from The Onion. I don't even know how to get more extreme than this.
The media is losing its mind. And it's crazy because the media for 40 years now, they've been telling us how dope it is to welcome immigrants, people that need help. Give us you're tired, you're hungry, you're sick, all that stuff that's written on the Statue of Liberty's toes. Oh, now they don't remember none of that Statue of Liberty stuff. That's crazy. The Midwest request with the $5 super chat, he says, what's frustrating is that white people be purity spiraling and fighting each other and the rest of the world. It's true. then be like, solidarity, fellas, LOL. Yo, I mean, you're not lying, bro. It's so funny. It's so funny. Yo, the white purity spiral. We just witnessed it in the chat right here. It's a real thing, though. It is a real thing, bro. They just can't help it because the beef be real, bro. The beef be real. You don't understand how real the beefs are. Like the beefs go back to the Stone Age with some of these guys, bro. You don't even get it, man. White people, y'all got to get it together, bro.
What's wrong with you? What's wrong with y'all? You niggas are crazy.
I'm telling you, man, white folks, I be wilding.
The Trump administration is a lot of things, but one thing it certainly is a white nationalist project. And oftentimes we don't want to describe it as such. I'm not reducing it to it because there's greed, there's graft, there's all sorts of things happening around it. But we need to understand the way in which great replacement theory is driving this. There's a sense in which the immigration policy is all about demographic shifts. There's a sense around the assault on voting rights and civil rights. It's all about who will have the decision-making power.
You know, it's interesting, though, and this is a good gambit. If you think about, all right, the Democrats have been using immigration as an obvious vote scheme, right? It's just duh. Not only with votes, but with the voting mechanism, because with the head count and the population, they get to redistrict and have some more Democrat seats in the House too, right? So it works on two levels. You get more Democrats and you get more Democrats to vote for. Now, Trump is essentially playing the same game, right? Same. It's fair, right? I can't imagine the Afrikaners coming over here and fleeing all this racial persecution and then voting for the blacks.
Or to determine who will run the country. And here, this idea that the republic must remain a white nation is evidenced in this move, which is so explicit that it cannot be denied. And so when we don't describe it for what it is, we become, in an ironic way, complicit in what they're doing. It's a white nationalist agenda, it seems to me. The Trump administration.
Everybody on the left really makes Trump more based than he actually is. Trump will never be as based as he is in the minds of the left. Because guys like myself and you know, Nick Fuentes and right-leaning people, there are things they want from Trump that we want from Trump that we just know it's never going to happen. But in the minds of the liberals, Trump is like Darth Vader. He's Trump Vader. The dark Trump.
The
Trump
amount of
father.
farm murders happening in South Africa is horrific. And it's not just Rob, it's true terrorism because they'll take a baby and they'll put it in a microwave. They will, I mean, it's awful. So Trump is right to offer them refugee status because there is absolute discrimination. And again, it is a communist, and the ANC government has direct communist origins. All the leaders of the ANC, where do they study? Patrice Lumumba University in Moscow. And the entire sub-Saharan anti-colonial movement was largely funded, organized, trained, enabled by the Soviet Union. And there is a...
And, you know, shout out to all the people who follow on Rumble. I didn't even try today, to be honest. Rumble has been acting weird the last couple of days. I hope they get their stuff together so I can kind of put my shows back on Rumble. But we had to do this particular show like completely on Rumble. We watched this documentary from the 50s called Africa Ideo, filmed by some Italians or whatever. And as far as I know, it's some of the only footage on the ground of decolonization. You know that word that the left likes to use right now? We have to decolonize or whatever, decolonize your mind. And we watched what decolonization looks like. And it was not pretty. And what's happening in South Africa is effectively the decolonization that we all witnessed watching that documentary. Ivan with the €5 says he should get on the agenda of helping South Africans understand how electricity works. Baby step, Ivans, baby steps. All right, first we have to stop. You know what? I'm not even going to make the joke I was going to make, because you know what the cure for the AIDS is? in South Africa, they have a witch doctor cure. They do. It involves a baby. It does. It does. I'm going to leave it at that. They should figure that part out before they start messing around with, magical stuff like electricity. But baby steps, Ivan, baby steps. You gotta have small goals with these guys, man.
These blacks.
Huge amount of economic damage. Some of the countries are starting to come out of it. A lot of them are not. And then there's, you have competition for minerals now. The Chinese have really pushed into a lot of those areas because they really don't care about the rule of law. They will do black bag diplomacy. So they'll pay off. I mean, if you're a energy minister, foreign minister, or head of state from a target country that China wants to do business with, they bring you to China and they take you to the foreign ministry. In the basement of the foreign ministry, there's a vault you walk through with all kinds of safe deposit boxes, and they take you to one with your name on it, and it's filled with gold dory bars, cash, diamonds, and they say, "This one's for you. Here's the key for it, as long as you play ball for us while you're in office." And so they do everything like that to undermine the rule of law. But there's actually been quite a bit of backlash, particularly in Africa, against that kind of Chinese investment because the politicians get rich and the people get screwed. Because when the Chinese build a mine, they take everything with them from China. They hire as few locals as possible. They treat them horribly, and they don't buy anything from them. And so there is a great opportunity for Western capital.
It's a peak irony, but the Chinese will make the Africans really miss the white man. Mark my words, all right? You heard it here first. The Chinese will make the Africans miss the white man. Like, please, baby, baby, please.
You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
That is responsible, because there's actually quite a bit more accountability and responsibility in our court system, in our public markets, that incentivize Western capital to behave well when they go abroad to do that. So that's really, I think it comes down to that global competition of governance philosophies. Is it responsible capitalism that is underpinned by the rule of law and some kind of human rights versus a very centralized communist statist relationship where the people are effectively serfs ruled by a maximum.
Okay. So if you think about the history of South Africa, it being under an apartheid system, where I think it is 80% of the population that are Black Africans only own 4% of the land. That is because they were put in shanty towns and moved into areas where they had no rights. And so 30 plus.
From all the my lifelong observation of how things work in the community, I don't think that's the reason why they're poor. I could be wrong. Maybe there are other reasons, some congenital issues. I don't know, but I'm just saying it's not that. It's not because of the shantytown thing. I know the shantytown thing probably sucks though, but I feel like if you had a really sharp mind, you'd be out of that shantytown by the time you're 18.
Years ago, they went through a revolution. The apartheid system ended, and they reformed their constitution under the great leader of Nelson Mandela, and that allowed for a racial reconciliation, one that this country has yet to do. But
ooh, you guys want to do racial reconciliation in America so we can be like South Africa? Yeah. We should do racial reconciliation so we can be just like South Africa, y'all.
You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
But South Africa did it, and they reformed their constitution. And part of that is that the people who are native to that land deserve their rightful land back. That is not what the Afrikaners actually want to have happen, which are the white Africans. And so who are not originally from Africa, who colonized South Africa also. And so that is what they are saying is.
You know, one thing I think is going to happen soon, I'm helping it in my own little way here. We're going to take the sting off the word colonization. You know, I talked about this a while ago, the burden of empire, right? It is your burden to spread your civilization, to grow beyond your smaller beginning borders, because the majority of the world is chaotic and savage, and eventually that chaos will swallow you up if you don't beat it back. So you have a burden to spread civilization for the sake of civilization, right? Long story short, colonization was a good thing. Because I'd rather be born as a nigga in Brooklyn in 1980s than as an African in the 80s. You remember the Africans in the 80s? They made us think you guys were dying by the millions every day. You were like drowning in flies. I'm good here.
Discrimination. Now, if the Constitution in South Africa is discriminatory, they have their checks and balances in that land, just like we do. And that is for them to, so if the Afrikaners don't actually like the land, they can leave that country.
They are. They're leaving to come here.
No, they can
These refugees are coming here.
They can actually leave and go to where their native land is, which is probably Germany.
Are you against?
Wait. First, she's like, they can leave. And Scott's like, yeah, they are leaving. And she's like, no, not like that. Like literally walked into the meme. That's crazy. Why? Why do you care where they go? If you say they can leave, does it matter that they come here? I mean, everybody else got to come here for the last 30 years. Why can't they come here? It's so weird how everybody in the media hates immigrants all of a sudden. I didn't realize the media was such an anti-immigrant place, y'all. Trump made the media anti-immigrant. That's how strong his juju is. Trump has powerful juju. Do you know Trump detransitioned the guy? I swear to God, I made a video about it. He was a transgender. He was a female when Biden was in office, and then when Trump came in office, he got his ID from the DMV, and he was a dude again, bro. Just like that. Just like that. The power of Trump. He detransitioned the guy. I don't even think he meant to. I don't even think he like had a plan to do it. He didn't like pick that guy out. It was just pure aura. Just straight up orange glow aura, bro. He just detransitioned him without even trying. And now you got the whole media, they're anti-immigration. This is wild.
And one that this country has yet to do. But South Africa did it, and they reformed their constitution. And part of that is that the people who are native to that land deserve their rightful land back. That is not what the Afrikaners actually want to have happen, which are the white Africans. And so who are not originally from Africa, who colonized South Africa also. And so that is what they are saying is discrimination. Now, if the Constitution in South Africa is discriminatory, they have their checks and balances in that land, just like we do. And that is for them to, so if the Afrikaners don't actually like the land, they can leave that country.
Did you just say Africa has checks and balances like we do? Keisha? I don't even know your name, black girl, but I feel close to you. I'm gonna call you Keisha. Keisha, did you just try to convince me that the legal system, that South African jurisprudence is exactly like American jurisprudence? Like their judges, we can swap out a South African judge for an American judge and it'll be like same. Are you trying to tell me it runs as smoothly over there as it does over here? Is that what you want me to believe? Keisha, you want me to believe that? You really want me to believe that? I can't believe you just tried to tell me that, Keisha. You really thought I was going to believe that? Oh, it's just like that in South Africa. It works the same over there. Like, really? You thought I was going to believe that?
A motherfucker just supposed to take and accept whatever the fuck you say because I'm a black woman. Bitch, shut up. The fuck out of here.
They are. They're leaving to come here.
No, they can
These refugees are coming here.
They can actually leave and go to where their native land is, which is probably Germany.
Are you
or
against them coming here?
Holland, probably. Holland.
Are you
yes.
against them coming here?
I'm against the hypocrisy of this administration.
No, that's not the question. The question is, are you against them coming here?
If there was actually a genocide happening, like there is in other places in Sudan, in the Congo, I'm not opposed for Congolese and for the Sudanese to come to Africa, just like I'm not opposed to Venezuelans and South Americans coming to America if they are fleeing and looking for asylum. What I am
just
against,
these 50 people
what I am against, it's not about being against them. What I am against is that they are being given special treatment when there is not a genocide happening in South Africa, and they just don't like the law of the land.
Well,
so you know what they
there
tell
has been
people?
violence. I mean, I do think it's not alleged discrimination that these people are facing in South Africa. I mean, the law there absolutely allows their property to be confiscated. They are subject to racial discrimination. Some have been subject to violence from some reports that I have read. I mean, we're talking.
You guys don't know the half of it, man. That field of crosses is like a mile long, like 4 rows, 5 rows wide. The field of crosses is terrible, bro. You have no idea, man. You guys aren't ready for what's really going on in Africa. None of you people are ready for real Africa. You guys don't want to know what real Africa is like. You don't want to know how they give it up in real Africa.
And I said it from the start, this is advanced darkness. This is heart of darkness. This is the jungle drum. This is the fertility goddess of chaos. They're literally going to eat your balls. They're going to cut your fucking nuts off and eat them.
Whoa, what? They're gonna what?
Talking about 50-something people, and the people who seem to be angriest about this today had no problem with 20 million coming here. Some of the worst people in the world coming here, including gang members and so on and so forth. So I don't have a lot of sympathy for the folks who are outraged today after what happened to this country over the last several years, over 50-something people who are clearly being discriminated against in South Africa. Well, the previous administration had priorities about who to let in, including, all kinds of folks. So I would argue.
Did you peep Anna's face? Let me go back a minute. Let's just look at Anna's face, show.
50-something people.
Anna, I can feel the hate. Like, your aura is black, Anna. And you wearing your black on black on black. You look like a Vader, like a Sith trainee or something like that. Where is your master? Who is your master? I sense a greater darkness than just you. Anna is just dripping evil right now. Anna Navarro is a Mexican Sith Lord.
Who are clearly being discriminated against in South Africa. Well, the previous administration had priorities about who to let in, including, all kinds of folks who I would argue shouldn't be here. This administration, I guess, is going to set priorities about who and who not to let in.
But let's just be honest about what those priorities are, right? And by the way, I'm a Democrat here. I did not defend the Biden administration on immigration.
But you voted for him.
So
that doesn't mean that I defended him on
immigration. You voted for a
immigration.
continuation of it in 2024, did you not?
I did not vote for his policies on immigration.
But you voted
Did
to.
you vote?
You voted for immigrants and transgender story hour. You voted for all that. Don't act like you voted for everything but that.
To extend the immigration policies of the last administration.
No, I did not vote for that.
The point is, you're in a party that opened the borders, and I'm in a party that closed the borders, and I think the American people prefer our way.
Well, he's closed the borders.
Yeah, we closed the borders to everybody but those 50 white people. Eat it. Yeah, we closed the borders to everybody but those 50 white people. Suck on that.
So the Trump administration, they're saying that essentially these white South Africans assimilate better, and they're also not as much of a security risk. That's really
Whoa, 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 hold on. Say what? Say that again. Say that again. Hold on. Say that again.
so the Trump administration, they're saying that essentially these white South Africans assimilate better, and they're
They assimilate better, not the assimilation word. No, not assimilation. That's bad. Nobody's supposed to do that. You're supposed to be a third worlder for 12 generations in America.
So the Trump administration, they're saying that essentially these white South Africans assimilate better, and they're also not as much of a security risk. That's really causing a lot of people to be appalled, frankly. And I should tell people.
Hold on. I just caught on to that. You ain't wrong with the $5 super chat, says Darth Whoopi. That is her Sith Lord. I get it now. She's the apprentice. Anna is the apprentice. And Whoopi is the Sith Lord. Because there's always two. I'm a little bit versed into I'm a little bit, into the Star Wars lore. I know there's always two. I know Anna can't be the only one because she's out here doing the dirty work. You don't really see Whoopi doing a lot of the shows. She's not on CNN all the time. She be falling back, doing the big stuff in the background. Shout out to You Ain't Wrong with the $5 super chat. We are discovering Sith Lords out here, man.
When I die, I'ma go to Snow Bunny Heaven. Snow Bunny Heaven.
We get us a few more white South African refugees and we can save the Galactic Empire.
That this violence that they're talking about that are dealing with these Afrikaners. I've been hearing from people that say there is violence in South Africa, but it's affecting everybody of every single race, Katie. So the Trump administration, they're saying that essentially these white South Africans.
It's crazy how they're trying to cover it up and say, no, South Africa is just naturally violent. Like everybody dies in South Africa. Like, geez. Have you been to South Africa? If you've been to South Africa, you would know. Everybody dies. That's what happens. I went to South Africa last week. I died twice, okay? Everybody dies in South Africa.
The mayor of DA in PE is a white man. So these people, when you want to hit them hard, go after a white man. They feel a terrible pain because you have touched a white man. Not because Mashaba and Soli will not be touched. They will be touched, don't worry. But we are starting with this.
He says he wants to touch a white man. They will feel great pain. All because I have touched a white man. Just put my hand upon his forehead. I touch him. Great pain.
Whiteness. We are cutting the throat of whiteness.
What was that? Was that a Zulu word?
But we are starting with this whiteness. We are cutting the throat of whiteness.
Ingangang. That's how they're going to hit the whiteness. Ingangang. Whiteness, watch out. Ingangang.
I'm willing to condemn murder. More than willing, but not of white people. I'm not going to play in the hands of white supremacists.
Shoot to kill. Yamasa. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer.
Oh, this is my jam right here. That's my jam right here. West Side Gun. Yeah, boy. Okay, so it's not 4 deep. It's 2 deep. Miles long, though. So it's crosses on either side of the road. I dare the American blacks to do this with all the people who've been shot unjustly by the police. Take all of your neighbors that have been unjustly murdered by the police, and you do the cross thing and see how far you get. just goes on and on and on. On and on and on. A good mile. The crosses literally go from here to America. The crosses just go on and on and on forever. But, ladies and gentlemen, they are the wrong kind of refugees. Yeah. That's it. As simple as that. They are the wrong kind of. See, if they had been like browner skinned, then we would care. The world would care. We'd be doing like a telethon, save the South Africans. We are the Boers. We are the children's. We are the ones who started farming here. So let's start giving. You know, we'd have had a whole campaign. They would have did an AI Michael Jackson. They'd have brought him back from the dead. He'd have been like, there's a choice we're making. You know, they'd have done the whole thing. They would have did the whole thing. Telethons. We would have had a lot. Man, we could have done a lot. We could have done a lot, but it's their fault because they were born the wrong color, really. Stupid. I don't know what the hell's wrong with them. I was born black. I don't know why they didn't choose to be born black. Silly white people, jeez.
We're the whites. Nobody ever cares if bad things happen to us anymore.
Have a good night, guys. We are out of here. Thank you for watching. I will catch you guys later. Peace.
Aspiring to be patriarchs like what white men have, that isn't freedom. That isn't going to help anybody. It's certainly not going to help black people.
It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done.
And I want to understand white rage, and I'm white.